Hello, friend. This is Ryan Hicks of TalkToProfit.com, and today I want to talk to you about being kind to yourself. Many people will quote Jesus saying to love your neighbor as yourself, but they don't seem to understand the loving your neighbor as yourself part. The as yourself part is very important. If you hate yourself, if you're vicious towards yourself, if you're unkind towards yourself, do you think you're going to really be nice to other people? Oh, sure, people put on formalities and they pretend because of social constraints, but they're not really acting in love if they are despising themselves, if they hate themselves, if they're not kind to themselves. This is not so you can be self-absorbed, of course not, but you need to be kind to yourself. And you need to ask yourself in honesty, would God treat me this way? Would God speak about me this way? When He's working all things for my good? When He's so merciful and gracious and kind toward me, and He is love, and He so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, and I'm going to sit here and denigrate myself and treat myself poorly and be unkind to myself? You should never treat yourself in a way that you wouldn't treat others. Now, of course, I'm presuming that you're watching a video like this, that you're a good, kind, loving person, that you wouldn't treat other people poorly. But if you do, then you need to change that as well. And maybe one of the ways you can get to working on that is to be kind to yourself, to speak kind words to yourself and about yourself. That feeling of unworthiness, of not deserving, it doesn't make you more humble. It doesn't make you more deserving of favor. Sometimes people think that, well, if I beat myself up enough, if I talk myself down enough, then I'm going to be humble enough to deserve God's grace. You're never going to do that. It's freely given by Him because of His graciousness, because of His mercy. It's not because you have beaten yourself up, made yourself so lowly that now you can somehow be deserving. You're not going to. And you don't need to. It's never about you getting deserving enough to be treated well. You have that innately because you are created in the image and likeness of God. You know, there's a term in the scripture and that we use sometimes talking about being godly, or a man of God or woman of God. But that term godly is very interesting. It means to be like God. Now, I want you to think about that. Would you talk negatively? Would you talk disrespectfully? Would you be unkind to God? You're supposed to be imitating God, to be as close to being like God as you can be. Doing everything to be like Him. As Jesus said in Matthew chapter 5, verse 48, be therefore perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. So He's the ideal. He is where you're shooting for, where you're trying to become like, to be more like Him. To be gracious, to be kind, to be loving, and you can't do that if you're not kind and loving to yourself. Because all you'll be doing if you are nice to other people, when you're despising yourself and hateful towards yourself, then you're just putting on a show. You're not really acting in kindness. You're not really acting in love toward those other people. That's why Jesus' point was so important about loving your neighbor as yourself. Because He knew that if you didn't have that love of God for yourself, you didn't have that inner kindness and godliness about you, you couldn't truly, from a pure heart, love your neighbor. And that, my friend, is very important. Many people have issues in their lives relating to their relationships, friends, family, and things like that. But the true cause of the problems in those relationships is that they don't love themselves. They don't have that inward love and kindness in themselves toward themselves, and so they can't show that toward other people. And there's an old saying that hurt people hurt people. So if somebody's hurt, they go around hurting other people. If you don't love yourself, if you despise yourself, if you treat yourself poorly, if you think poorly about yourself, you're not going to engage other people in a way that's moved from compassion, moved with love, and having the love of God shed abroad in your heart, flowing to other people. And this is an important thing because this relates to every aspect of your life. If you denigrate yourself and you're unkind to yourself, it affects everything else. Your finances, your health, your mentality. If you want to be prosperous, you want to be abundant and have that abundant life that Jesus came to give you, you can't do it if you don't love yourself. This idea that you have to just despise and downgrade and denigrate yourself over and over, and then you're somehow on the holy, righteous road. That's not it at all. That's not true humility. That's just self-sabotage. And it is speaking evil of God because He's the one that created you. He's the one that gave you life. And you should be speaking highly, praiseworthy things about yourself because of the great mercy and grace of God in your life. The fact you even have life. What an amazing gift that is to be alive. To be able to co-create with God, to be able to walk with God and experience the goodness and grace of God each and every day. You have a lot of things to speak kindly of yourself about. Don't let another day go by where you speak or think words that are denigrating to you, words that tear you down, words that are not uplifting. You know, I talk about Philippians 4:8 a lot because it's so important, because if you get that one verse down and follow it, it'll change your whole entire life. Even if you don't understand how it works, you don't understand the law of attraction, you don't understand co-creation with God, you don't understand any of that stuff, if you follow that verse, you will get great results and you'll have all those things work in line and work in your favor. But part of Philippians 4:8 is that all those good things, thinking things that are just, lovely, of good report, all those things apply to you as well. What you think about yourself. So don't think things that are negative. Don't think things that are not of good report. Don't think things that are unjust. Don't think things that are unkind about yourself. Think good, praiseworthy, lovely things about yourself. So often people only get focused on the outward, external things about being kind to other people. But it becomes a show. It becomes an act because they don't have the inward kindness toward themselves. That from that, when you truly care about yourself and love yourself through the grace and love of God, that expands to everyone. You can't be enraged. You can't be bitter. You can't be nasty to other people when you love yourself. You will truly love others and love your neighbor as yourself when you have the love of God in your heart for yourself, when you're kind toward yourself, when you speak kind words about yourself, when you don't denigrate yourself, when you don't tear yourself down, but you just think those things that are praiseworthy about yourself. This is not to get you to be arrogant and prideful, of course not. Because those people tend to be the people who don't really love themselves anyway. A lot of that kind of stuff, the arrogance and pride and those kind of things, all go together with not loving yourself, not being kind toward yourself. They're a show, they're a sham, they're put on. People trying to cover up the fact inwardly they don't like themselves. They don't feel good about themselves. They're not confident about themselves. And those negative things get put forth as a display for something that really doesn't exist, that they don't love themselves. If you were so worthy that God sent His Son for you, then why can you not speak about that worthiness? My friend, don't denigrate yourself. Be kind to yourself. This will bring great prosperity. It'll be great abundance. And it'll bring great blessings that you will be able to expound and expand into the world and be a blessing. This isn't just about yourself, but when you get this right, and you recognize the goodness of God and His perfection, His grace, and your worthiness, not because of anything you have done, but that you are worthy as a divine creation of the living God, that you deserve kindness and you're kind toward yourself, you will be kind to others as well. And you'll be a blessing that this world needs, because there's very few people out there who are kind to themselves, who believe themselves to be worthy, and recognize the love of God in their hearts. My friend, I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.